if the problem was different? What if the problem was x squared minus 2x minus 4 is equal to 0? That doesn't exactly produce the solutions that you want, does it? That's a whole different scenario. So this one doesn't factor, and so we resort to using then the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula solves all things of second degree. It gives us the solutions. And that's one thing you want to be prepared to do. So the most important part of the quadratic formula is what we call the discriminant. The discriminant is this piece right here. It sits underneath the square root, okay? And so I want you to think of these scenarios. Suppose you have the square root of 9, and suppose you have the square root of 0, and suppose you have the square root of negative 9, okay? If you have the square root of 9, what number can you multiply by itself to get 9?
3.
3 or?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and 3 times 3 is 9. See that? And so therefore, if you have a positive value underneath the square root, there are two solutions. That means that if you were to graph the parabola would actually cross the x-axis in 1, 2 spots. That's what it means. What number do you multiply by itself to get 0? 0 times 0. So there's only one number you multiply by itself to get 0. And so if you have 0 underneath the square root, there is one solution. That would mean that the graph would look something like this. It would come down, it would touch just once on the x-axis. Is there any number you can multiply by itself to get negative 9? 3 times 3 is 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. I guess you might say negative 3 times positive 3, but those are different numbers, aren't they? So there are no numbers that multiply to negative 9. So if you have a negative number underneath the square root, there are no solutions. That means that the parabola actually never crosses the x-axis. There are no spots where it crosses. So in today's assignment, we want to be able to look at the discriminant value and determine the number of solutions that it has. And then move on to actually using the quadratic formula, okay? So I'm going to write it down here. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. By the way, I sang the song today. Who would like to sing the song tomorrow?
I think Evan does.
Nope. Let's vote as a class. Raise your hand if you think London should sing the song tomorrow.
No.
This is a democracy. You will be ready to go. And London, would you feel comfortable singing the song by yourself?
No.
So let you choose one partner. Who would you like to choose to sing with you?
Alexia.
Okay, Alexia and London, you guys will be ready to go. You'll start class for us tomorrow. When it says to find the value of the discriminant is just b squared minus 4ac. That's all that is. So as you look at this problem, we have values of a, b, and c. A is the value in front of x squared, which is 1. B is the value in front of x, which is negative 6. And c is the number on the end, which is 9. Okay? Notice that it is set equal to 0. In determining a, b, and c, you have to have it set equal to 0. So b squared minus 4ac, we will square b. What is negative 6 times negative 6? 36. That number will always be positive. It will never be negative. When you square that, it will always be positive. Minus 4 times a is 1 and c is 9. So how many negative signs do I have? Just 1. So it will be subtraction. I have 36 minus, what is 4 times 1 times 9? 36. And 36 minus 36 is? 0. So you have one solution. One solution according to what we said here. If the discriminant has a value of 0, there's one solution. We'll do a couple more here. I look at number 2. I have A, B, and C. A is 2, B is -1, C is -3. B squared. -1 squared is? 1. Plus or minus, oh, I'm sorry about that. B squared minus 4 times A is 2 and C is -3. How many negative signs do I have in that situation? 2, so therefore they will cancel out and make addition. And you have 1 plus 4 times 2 is 8 times 3 is 24. And you get 25. That number is positive. Therefore, I have 2 solutions. We're going to skip number 4. I'd like you to do number 3 on your own. Come up with the value of the discriminant and tell me about what it tells you about the solutions that you have. I should get 1 minus 4 times -1 times 2. Notice there are 2 negatives. They cancel out. I get 1 plus 8. We should have 9. Since it's positive, that means that there are 2 solutions. We good? Okay. Now I can do number 4. Flip it over. And today, so we spent 2 days on the quadratic formula. Our goal today is to get through this example 12 piece with the quadratic formula because you have this -b, stop that. Because you have -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, we end up with some radical expressions that we sometimes need to work harder to simplify. And so I want to talk about that, and then we'll get to the last piece here. 6 plus or minus the root of 24 over 4. It turns out that there's a perfect square you can take out of 24. What perfect square divides evenly into 24? Four times 6. So notice that the square root of 4 is 2. I get 6 plus or minus 2 roots of 6 over 4. This is not simplified because there are a total of 3 terms, 2 in the top and 1 in the bottom. 6, 4, and 2 are all divisible by what number? 2. Divide them all and you get 3 plus or minus 1 root of 6 all over 2. And that is your answer. We're not going to do all these. We're going to do 2 more. Alexia, please pick number 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. She would like us to do problem 9. I do 6 plus or minus. What is the perfect square that divides evenly into 200? 100 times 2. I have the square root of 100 is 10. I look at my end result here and I say, what are 6, 10, and 10 all divisible by? Because they're all divisible by 2, I divide them and I get 3 plus or minus 5 roots of 2 over 5. and that's simplified. Hayden, give me a problem.
10.
Awesome. You guys try that one on your own. Go. I have 10 plus or minus the root of 2 over 20. Everybody good? Okay, excellent. All right. Here we go then. Our goal now is to be able to solve these using the quadratic formula. We're going to do 11 and 12 today, and then we're going to do 13 and 14 tomorrow. This is where we're going to see it all the way through. As I can't state this enough, if you anticipate you want to go on to college and take a college level math class, this isn't something where we just want to be able to perform at like a 50% success rate. We want to be able to do this perfectly, okay? So let's make sure that we work hard, focus, and that we expect that we are going to come through and do this well. I'm going to write it down, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by twice the a value. I will list my a, b, and c values. A is 1, b is negative 3, and c is negative 18. So now instead of just focusing on the discriminant or just focusing on simplifying, we're going to do all three of those pieces together. So in this scenario, I have negative b. That means I take b and I switch it. So what is my negative b going to be? Positive 3 plus or minus the square root of. And now we do our discriminant. What is b squared? Negative 3 times negative 3 is? 9. Minus 4 times the a value is 1 and the c value is negative 18. All divided by twice the a value. 2 times 1 is 2. Great. So now what we have to do is we have to focus on that discriminant. How many negative signs do I have underneath the discriminant? So that will change to addition then. And I have 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus, anybody 4 times 18? 72. What is 9 plus 72? 81. Is there a square root of 81? It is 9. On today's assignment, this part is always going to work out nicely to where there is a nice even square. Tomorrow, it won't be that way. We'll see what that looks like. So we have 3 plus or minus 9 over 2. So remember, it's an x squared equation, so I come up with 2 results. Let me show you these 2 results. What is 3 plus 9?
12.
Divided by 2?
6.
So 6 is one of the solutions. To get the other solution, I do 3 minus 9, which is negative 6 divided by 2. And those are my 2 solutions. We do one more together. A, B, and C. A is 2, B is negative 11, and C is 5. We set it up using the quadratic formula. What is negative B? Will it be positive 11 or negative 11? Positive 11 plus or minus the square root of. What is negative 11 times negative 11? 121 was said, that is correct. Minus 4 times A is 2 and C is 5. all divided by what is going to be in my denominator. Twice the a value would be 4. How many negative signs do I have underneath the square root? Just 1, so it's going to be subtraction. I have 11 plus or minus the square root of 121 minus 4 times 2 is 8 times 5 is 40. And 121 minus 40 is 81. 81 has a perfect square, just like we saw in the previous problem. So I have 11 plus or minus 9 over 4. So let's figure out our two answers. What's 11 plus 9? 20 divided by 4 is 5. And then 11 minus 9 is 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. So those are your two answers, positive 5 and positive 1/2. Okay? Now, let's flip to our homework. We're going to move forward one spot here. So instead of solving by completing the square, we're going to simply use the quadratic formula one right here. Okay? And what I want you guys to focus on right now on these 6 problems is I just want you to focus on problem 3 and 6 and 5. Yes, for right now, please do problems 3 and 5. 3 and 5.